you very much, Tina. Thank you. Appreciate you all taking the time to be here today. Just to give you a little layer of understanding who I am. Buckeye born and raised, migrated out to the West Coast where I got my start in media in the newspaper business. And I was in a boardroom meeting at the San Francisco Chronicle. I was a local sales manager there. And the executives from the Hearst Corporation were in town. So the big guys were in town, and they're number crunching, and they're killing my classified director because he's millions of dollars behind his budget goal. And he says, Craigslist is killing me. And so the light bulb literally in that moment, I should say figuratively, went off over my head, and I decided that I better get a handle on digital media because being in the newspaper business, I really thought that was where things were going, and look at where we are today. So through that process, I started my own agency. I started running not Google AdWords, but basically search campaigns for local businesses that I built relationships with there. I did that for a while. I got recruited to work with a national company that was partnered with Google as well. Spent a good amount of time there, almost 8 years, and through that process, was led to Cox Media when I made the trip back to Ohio to be close to be home again. So I'm real happy to be here today, and I'm going to share some information with you about Google and how things work. And nowadays, we don't just go online, we live online. Everyone's got one of these. Smartphone, everyone seems to have. You've got tablets. I see there's a laptop right there. Everyone's working. Nowadays, this is the world that we live in. I joke that the day of the bar bet is over because nowadays you're talking about, hey, who threw that interception in the Super Bowl in whatever year? Well, there's no going home to look it up, or somebody just whips out their phone and they Google it. So it's really changed the way we live. So before we start talking about looking forward, let's look back. This is from 1983. The first cell phone, look at that thing. It looks like a brick, doesn't it? It's 2 pounds and 12 inches long. You get 30 minutes of talk time if you charge it for 10 hours. That's awesome, isn't it? That's really cool. So we started there, and then we moved from there to the StarTAC. How many people had a StarTAC? I had a StarTAC. I thought it was really cool. The really neat thing that the StarTAC introduced was, hey, you know what all those little numbers mean? You could send text messages. Awesome. 888, 666, all that stuff just to send. It took forever to send a text. So we migrate from there to, let's look at 2005. This is the papal inauguration, the inauguration of the Pope, 2005. How many cell phones do you see in this picture? A handful. I always wonder what this young lady down here, she's looking back at the camera. But a couple of cell phones. So fast forward 8 years, and we look at 2013. And we think about, holy cow, the proliferation of devices. This guy's holding an iPad, cell phones, this way. There's a big debate of people, do you film, do you shoot this way, or this way? Everyone's got their way to do it. But the devices really impact our lives. Let's look at how they impact our lives. Hey, got to wear sunscreen. But nowadays, everywhere you go, everyone's connected. You've got your phone. It's connected to social networks. It's impacting the way we live. This is the flip side of the papal inauguration, the downside of social media and the proliferation of devices. But let's talk about how it impacts business. How many people used to own a membership to Blockbuster? There we go. And now it's Netflix. And I'm old school because I remember when Netflix delivered DVDs. And now it's streaming. Used to go to hotels. Now it's Airbnb, VRBO, book and rent directly online from consumer to consumer. So there's a lot of disruption going on in this space. And the challenge is that nobody wants to be the old dog learning about new tricks. But that's what we want to make sure we're avoiding. So we're talking about being found online. Google is now telling us, and this is back from May of 15, so just about a year ago, desktop searches, that's searching on your laptop computer, was surpassed by people searching on their phone. Not surprising considering the information that we just looked at. People are spending more time looking for information on their phones. So because of that, Google announced what they called Mobilegeddon. Today's actually the 1-year anniversary, coincidentally. A year ago today, Google changed the algorithm. Everybody remembers, if these are unfamiliar to you, you may remember an algorithm change called Panda. They had an algorithm change called Penguin. These are all changes to Google's secret sauce, the formula that which they rank businesses that determines, are you first, second, third, fourth, so on, page 1, page 2, page 10. So Google changed this formula a year ago to say, hey, your website needs to be mobile friendly. So I would ask you, if you've got a website, it should be responsive, it should be mobile friendly, and we'll talk a little bit about what it means. So from a year ago today to now, everyone made changes, everyone kind of freaked out. Well, guess what? Google's doing another change. It's going to be impacting mobile again. So this is the actual announcement from the Google Webmaster blog saying, continuing to make the web more mobile friendly, Mobilegeddon round 2. And it's going to be starting in May. They made this announcement in March, looking to make sure that your website is mobile friendly. And what does that mean? That means that it looks good on an iPhone, it looks good on a tablet, a phablet, an iPad, a desktop, a laptop. It should format and look seamless regardless, because that's the user experience that we want to have. We want to have that user experience be as positive as possible, because nowadays in an instant gratification world, people search, they click, they want to reach you. If I'm looking for a roofer and I got a rain coming through my ceiling and I search and I click and I got to expand the screen and sort, boom, back arrow, go to the next guy. It's an instant gratification world. I actually witnessed, kid was about 12 years old, on his mom and dad's iPhone, loading a video on YouTube. Kid was throwing a fit, upset because it was taking, 30 seconds to load. This is a video that's bouncing off a satellite into space onto your phone. And it's too slow. So we've got to fall in line with that. And nowadays the consumer wants that instant gratification. So we're looking to deliver that with mobile. So more specific to just search in general. Believe it or not, 15% of Google queries, Google searches, 15%, that's roughly 1 out of every 8 searches. That's people typing something in that little box at the top of the search page. 1 out of every 8, 15% are brand new. I'm telling you, it never happened before. Somebody typed in a completely new search that Google's never seen before. And they're answering that in fractions of seconds and delivering the most relevant results in real time. So what that means to you is that we've got to be able to be relevant when people are looking. So the role of marketing and the role of this process is to make sure that you have reach for your business, to influence your consumers, and the key to it is delivering the best results for you. Whatever you're doing, and bless you. From a media standpoint, I'm a big believer in mix of media, TV, newspaper, radio, digital, the whole thing, they all work together. That's how you deliver that influence, by reaching the right people. So let's talk specifically about search and where we reach them. This is a search end results page from about 2 months ago. And I looked at Roofer Dayton, And this was the results you get. It's a little funny looking because our screen's folded there. But looks different. Guess what? This was from 2 months ago. This is what it looks like now. It's a lot cleaner looking. But Google, there used to be all these ads over here on the side. They're gone. We used to have 3 ads at the top, and I'll see if I can back arrow. 3 ads at the top, 7 to 12 ads on the right, and a couple at the bottom. Boom. Talk about transforming change. Now there's 4 ad positions at the top. And I will say up to 4. They're not always going to be 4. Could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, but there's going to be 4. And then you see map results. Beneath this map results, there'll be 3 local listings tied to the map. Those are all part of the organic results. Where are the organic results? They're way down there. Back in the newspaper days, we used to call that below the fold. They're buried. So people that are searching really have to scroll. They have to invest some time to find you. So the old joke about, where do you bury a dead body? On page 2 of Google, because nobody ever goes there. Thank you. You got to be not just prominent on page 1, but now it's even more of a fight because there's 4 ad positions where there used to be 12 to 15. So there's 4 at the top. There's 3 at the bottom, but there's some debate about how many people are actually going to click through from the ads at the bottom. 70% of people click organically. I talk to people all the time, and the answer that I get, the question I get all the time is, and people always, I never click on those ads. How many people say I never click on those ads? Okay. A lot of people say that. But when you're specifically looking for something, and man, the answer is right there staring you in the face, it's really hard to avoid it. But in general, about 70% of all traffic comes through organically. That means it's coming through the organic positions that are below the fold. About 30% of traffic is coming through the paid. But those 30%, man, they click ads. Who owns stock in Google? Good job. I own a little bit. I wish I owned more. Last year, $45 billion in revenue. $45 billion. 85% of that revenue comes from pay-per-click ads. So the people that don't click on them, that's okay. Not everybody's going to click on them. The beauty of it is the only time your budget gets spent if you're running pay-per-click is if that ad shows up and somebody clicks on it and goes to your website, that's when you spend money. It's pay-per-click. So the 3-letter anagrams start coming out. It's called PPC. Eric mentioned it when he introduced me. I call it SEM, search engine marketing. The M in marketing, search engine marketing, the M stands for money because it costs money. SEO is the other side of that coin. These guys are yin and yang to the search solution. SEO is the organic result. SEM is the money side, the marketing result, where you got to pay to play, and that's up here in the top. And you'll see the little gold icon that says ad, signifying that. So I'll talk a little bit more about how to get you up there. And let's look at some information about why it's important. So looking at online, 97% of people search online prior to and during a buying process. Makes sense, right? Whether if you're buying a new car, you're sure as heck going online. If you're buying a pair of sneakers for your kids, my wife shops online. I know a lot of times that process is happening. 97% of the process leads to search. 93% of the sales happen offline. It's because a lot of folks will say, I need people to walk in my door. I'm not doing business online. I'm not an e-commerce business. Doesn't matter. Nowadays, if your customer can't pull out their phone and within a few keystrokes find you, then you don't exist. So it's important to be there when they're looking for you in that process. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, and I love you, good luck, it's hard, but you can do it. You can go to Google, pretty much anything you want to find that relates to Google. If you go to Google and in the search bar you type Google and then whatever it is you're looking for, you'll get great information. And I'm going to show you some key points on kind of how to get to that information. But starting here in AdWords, you go to right there, Start Now, click that little button, and it's very intuitive the way it works. It'll help you build out, if you want to build out your own campaign, you'll plug in information about your business, and it's going to give you a lot of solution-driven things if you want to do it yourself. Now, if you don't, you work with a partner. And this is where I get, my one little piece of part of this. Cox Digital Media, we're a partner of Google. We're at a level of partnership we call Premier SMB Partners. We spend just under $2 million a month in Google AdWords. We're in the top 2 in customer satisfaction. Every year, Google does a survey of these partners, the clients that work with these partners, and they ask about satisfaction. And typically we've been in the top 3. In 2015, we were in the top 2, which is a fancy way of saying we came in second. But I'll tell you that the company that came in number 1 is another Cox company, but they're specifically search for automotive. All the people that work with your campaigns, we're all Google certified. And as we're moving through this, people on our team are IAB certified. So work with us, or if you work with another vendor, I ask you to do your due diligence. Find out if they're IAB certified, are they Google certified. Check them out, because you want to make sure from a perspective of handing over success of your business. You don't want it to be, guy living in mom's basement building out Google AdWords campaigns. You want to be going with a legit partner who can really deliver for your business. So I'm now going to show you just a couple of things that you can really do to get your business noticed. If you are going to run your own campaign, I highly suggest using ad extensions. Google's really enhanced the opportunity with extensions. Underneath the ads or in organic, you can build out this content. And I've showed you here for Zulily. These extensions launched in 14, but you can use that content to do a lot of things. Basically, it's down here. You've got 4 bullet points. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of information where you can really expand and then click through to deeper pages within your site. So it gives you the chance to tell the consumers a little bit more. Your typical text ad has 3 lines of content. It's 25 characters, 35 characters, 35 characters. So it's hard to say a whole lot about your business in 95 characters. So you can use the ad extensions to really build out some more value for yourself. In addition to that, you want to make sure that the ads feature as much relevant content to your business that speak to the consumer as possible. So in this case scenario, we're looking at 5-quart kitchen mixers, pricing, how the sale is being run, if it relates to something like that. There's a lot of different components in how you can set this up, but you want to make sure that you're delivering the most customized available content that's possible. And then there's some things that you can layer in with Google AdWords to advertise when you need it most. There's opportunities to change the ad. If you're open from 8 to 5, you may have a certain ad that speaks to service during that time period. Maybe after that time period, you're enhancing different features. And maybe from 9 to 5, you got your click to call enhanced. After hours, it's going to a form submission page. So there's a lot of opportunities to change the ad delivery and the response that the user gets all through the AdWords process. Again, it gets a little complicated, which is why I encourage folks to work with a partner. On the SEO side, there's a lot of things you can do as well. And a lot of these things, Google has evolved through this. And it starts with Google My Business. You guys familiar with that phrase? Google loves Google, and hence they love Google content. So if you go to Google and you type in Google My Business, it'll bring you right to this page. And the key is to be there when people are looking for you. It'll help you set up the map links. It'll help you stand out on Google. It'll help you capture reviews and coordinate those reviews with your site, so it helps build relevance in the SEO side. Another element of this is local rankings, and this is one of the questions I get more than anything else, is people are asking, how do I get my business to show up in those maps? There's 3 businesses affiliated, 1, 2, and 3 in the map section. People always ask, how do I get my business into those map section? And this is the key right here. You've got to have relevance. You've got to be within approximate distance. So if someone searches for roofer Springfield, it helps if you're in Springfield. It helps by distance. And then you've got to have prominence, and that's built out through the content within your site. So using this page and tying these pieces together will help you get to that process, get to that discovery point. Second part of this, it's not just about driving traffic to your site. I always say that the party really starts when they get to the website. What happens after they get there? If they visit your site and then they bounce, meaning they come and they land on one page and then they immediately go away, they either close their browser or they hit the back arrow, you've lost an opportunity to capture business. So analytically, Google has a free tool that you can use, Google Analytics, that it's a piece of software, a piece of code, lives on the back end of your website. Every one of you that has a website, the likelihood is you invested some money in it, right? You paid good money to build a site, because that's the storefront to your business nowadays. People are coming to it. Gotta be looking at what happens when they get there. So Google offers this for free. Again, if you go to Google and you put in Google Analytics, it'll bring you right to here. And then the next part of this, and Dave's going to talk a lot more about analytics, so I'm not going to overdo that. But the other part of this is you've got to have attribution, so you know where your leads are coming from, so you can evaluate what you're doing and then optimize through the process. And you do that, and this is an example of a Google Analytics page from one of my clients, and I'm just showing you, this is the source medium view. So over on the left-hand side, this is the source of the click. So the number one is direct, meaning that people just typed in the URL of this business owner, and they went directly to that site. So that business has a great name recognition because people know who they are and they just go to their website. So that's good, part one. Part two is Google CPC. That's Google cost per click. That's our search campaign, our SEM, our pay-per-click. That's our campaign. So organically, 580 people just typed in their name and went to their site. 569 went to Google and searched and then clicked on the paid ad. Google Organic is number 3, 557. 17% went to Google and searched and then came through the organic traffic. But then you can also see some banner ads through Cox. And then I highlighted in red what inevitably happens whenever you build a website. You're going to have some junk, just some garbage that lives out there. These are spiders that crawl the web because they're trying to do whatever it is they want to do. And you'll see one page per session, not really spending any time on your site. That's not legit. One page for best SEO software. Guess what? They're trying to sell you some SEO software. 0 time on site. So those red ones are not legit. So one of the things you do is you want to filter those out and focus on the real data, because it's going to tell you what percentage of your traffic coming to your site is new. If you've got a business that has a lot of repeat customers, maybe you're okay with a 50-50 mix. If you're a business that relies on your website to generate new customers, maybe you want that to be more in the line of 80% new. So you'll come to those conclusions yourself. What's the bounce rate? And I mentioned those are people that come in and leave right away. And how do we compare? So when we look at our campaign, you look at all those data points and how they compare to the top line and how they compare overall. So for example, if the average time on site is 1 minute and 16 seconds, your organic traffic is coming in and spending 2 minutes and 27 seconds, that's pretty good. Your search campaign traffic is coming in and spending almost 2 minutes. That's pretty good. If it was 30 seconds, then you want to be looking at something, looking to fix that.